What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And today we are back in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, but we're going to be talking about Spad.next once again. Now, we're going to be talking about why I use Spad.next, why you should use something that's very similar to it, what the benefits are, and then we're going to talk about how to set it up. Okay, I'm going to start with a base configuration, something that you can use as a baseline for all aircraft, and then copy and modify based on aircraft after that. We're not going to get into any of the real advanced stuff today, just showing some of the real quick benefits and how easy it is to get it up and moving, and then why we'll be talking about why I use that. So stick around. If you are interested in any of my tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. All right, folks, so first up, why do I use SPADnext? I use Spad.next because specifically for Microsoft Flight Simulator, both 2020 and 2024, I think the UI is clunky as hell. I think it takes a long time to get it set up. The other thing is I don't like that you can't set up your controls while you're monitoring the aircraft to sort of see what it's doing, watch your action take place as you're doing it. The other thing that's 2024 is a little bit better with this. Like I see that they were going on the right path, but that would be, you know, when you swap aircraft, being able to have multiple configurations per aircraft, right? So if I switch from the Baron 58 over to A320, I obviously don't want my controls to do all the exact same things. There may be some that carry overs, they're both twin engine aircraft, but you get the point that I'm going at. Now, like I said, 2024, they at least implemented something that was similar to it. They were on the right track, but again, it's very clunky. It's not, neither one of their user interfaces are what I would call user friendly. Now, I want to get the big cat out of the bag right now. I know that Spad.next has a really bad reputation for customer service, and quite frankly, I agree. I want to make that very clear. There's always people who come into the comments and just start pounding away at, you know, I won't support them, their customer service is crap. I can't disagree with that. You have one gentleman who is always, I made a video on this, which he did, but people don't seem to understand that you can't really search videos by chapters. So when you have a video that has 20 different items in it, there isn't really a way for people to search that. The algorithm doesn't do a great job of searching chapters. Sometimes you'll get it, but usually that's pretty difficult. So anyway, you get that. Yes, the effort was put in. Yes, the video exists, but that. And then there's another gentleman in their customer service line on the Discord who's just an a-hole. Like, I have no problem saying that. I really don't give a crap. He's a jerk. He's one of those people who makes people feel stupid when you ask a question. And as someone who works in IT support and deals with people all day long who come to me for questions and problems, I just can't respect that kind of behavior. So I do understand that. The reason why I advocate still, even besides that, for SPAD is because once you do learn it, once you get used to it, I think it is the best at what it does. Now, there are alternatives. There's MobiFlight, there's Axis and O's. I want to say there's another one, but I can't remember the name of it. FSUI PC7, but none of them have the UI and the ease of use that I believe that SPAD does, or the broad preset profiles. The other thing that's really cool about SPAD is if you have the same equipment, for example, the Bravo throttle quadrant is sitting right in front of the camera here. That's what we're going to be using today. You can, let's say you're looking for a Bravo throttle quadrant configuration for, let's go back to the Baron 58. You can go to their online snippets, select the Baron 58, select the Bravo the device that you're wanting, and basically you can click a button and it will load somebody else's profile straight to the Bravo, and bam, it's configured. And you just have to look through and see what does what, but it's done and deal. So there's a lot of really cool options that come with it. So getting the negative out of the way, it's been talked about. Now let's get into the positive, and I want to show you guys, you know, what you can do with it. And that's the other thing, is you have people like me, so that way hopefully you don't have to go to their customer service. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing that we're going to want to do in order to make this work in SPAD is you need to create a new profile in Microsoft Flight Simulator and then empty it. In Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, you can just simply create new profile and then leave it blank. And then in this particular one, we're going to do something similar. So I've already done it, but I'm going to walk you guys through. So we're going to go to settings, and this is again why I don't like it, because you constantly have to, let me move that over, swap. You guys are hearing probably my 3D printer going off in the background. So we're going to go controls, Okay, scroll down. And you know what? Let me just do this. Here, I'll tell you what. We will delete this profile. Because by default, especially with the Bravo, there's going to be controls already bound, right? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to do... it still didn't delete that profile, did it? It totally did not. Delete. This will permanently delete the selected profile. Continue. Yes. There it goes. All right. So now this is the one that will automatically be there. So now we want to do settings. We want to go to duplicate. Let's change this. I'm just going to call it Bravo Spad. That way I always know what I'm using this with and why it's empty. I'm also going to set as default, and I'm going to hit clear. Okay, so now everything should be empty. There should be absolutely no controls that are working on the Bravo. So how we're going to test that, we're going to save him back, resume, jump back into the cockpit, and start moving our throttles around. They shouldn't do anything. Okay, so we're set. We are ready to test some stuff. So now let's get back to SPAD. So coming back over to SPAD, I'm going to go ahead and minimize Microsoft Flight Simulator, make things hopefully a little bit easier to see. And let's go ahead and jump in on this. So first you're going to start with a blank profile. There's nothing in it, right? It's always going to have a profile. You always have to have at least one profile that exists. So we're going to create a new profile. Nope, not new profile from this. Create empty profile. And we're just going to call this base. And this is what we're going to use as the baseline for all aircraft. We're going to configure it as if we're doing twin engines. I believe it's sort of a balance between twin engine and single engine in the sim, but I think twin engine is the best place to start. It's easier to remove stuff. So anyway, so we're going to go to our base profile. And now from here, we're going to come down to the controls menu. And we're going to find the Bravo. And you can see the Bravo is broken down into throttle, AP and switches, annunciators. We're going to start with the throttle quadrant, and we're just going to work our way from left to right. So on the Bravo, first thing we have is our trim wheel. So here is 22 flashing. Remember, the trim wheel on the Bravo is not an axis. It works as buttons. So we're going to do add event, button pressed, add action, and we're going to send simulation event. And for most things in Microsoft Flight Simulator, either 2020 or 24, 95% of what you'll need, especially as a beginner, you just need to use SimConnect. Okay? And then you're going to look for trim. And you can either look for aileron trim, anything that has a space, notice that it's going to have an underscore instead of a space. Okay? So keep that in mind. We want elevator trim down. Okay? So we're going to hit OK. Now, here's where we're going to set the value. Okay? I'm going to set this value to 0.01. And you guys will see why in a second. Okay. I'm going to hit OK. And then now we're going to roll it back. There it is. 23. Add event. Button pressed. Add action. Send simulation event. The beautiful part about this is going to remember what you did last. So we're going to do elevator trim up. And we're going to hit OK. And again, 0.01. And hit OK. And hit OK. Now, so every time we engage that trim wheel, if we come back to the sim, we should see our trim wheel move. And look at that. And notice I did 0.01. If I had done any more than that, it would move like a bat out of hell. You can do like 0.02, things like that, but I find 0.01 is a really good one to start. It rolls a little slow, but it's a really nice way to tune it. Okay? Trust me on that. So there's that. Now let's come in here and let's move our way forward. So now we're going to work on our throttles. So that's going to be these guys here. Now what you can do, I believe it's here. Nope. You can go to device settings and you can rename the device and you can rename the controls on the device. I'm going to leave that as is, but I wanted you guys to know that was an option. So add event. Axis value changed, add action, standard axis. Again, for most aircraft, this will be enough. There are some caveats to that. There are plenty of aircraft where condition lever also works on the mixture axis. And there are some aircraft, like for example the TBM 850 and the PC-12, I believe, from Simworks Studios, have an LVAR command, and that's a whole different thing. If you guys want a really detailed video, go to my videos page, hit the search, and look up SPAD, and find my Spad.next configuration for the TBM 850, and you guys will see how LVARs are used. It's a much more in-depth tutorial. So we're going to do throttles without reverser, okay? And what we're going to do is select engine 1. We only want the one engine, but like for example, if you had one axis that you want to do multiple engines, you would just tick whatever engines you want bound to that axis. In our case, we just want the one. Full thrust, we're going to click set. Idle thrust, and you can put idle wherever you want. Wherever in the axis throw that you want idle to be, you can do that. But we obviously want it all the way back. We're going to hit set. If you needed to invert the axis, for example, when you push the throttle forward, if in the sim it was going to idle, then you would need to invert. You just simply click the invert axis, but we don't need to do that. And we're going to hit OK. And I'm just going to rinse and repeat for the second engine. So add event, axis value, add action, standard axis, throttle without reverser, engine 2 this time, full thrust, set, idle, set, hit OK, hit OK. And now if we go back to the sim, there's our throttles moving now. Okay, it's such a beautiful piece of software, guys. And so now we're going to do the same thing for the the prop and the mixture. So again, add event. I've selected the first axis that I want to use as my prop 1. Axis value change, add action. I'm going to start speeding up a little bit. Standard axis, propeller pitch, full pitch. We want to select engine 1. So this is actually low pitch. Go to idle, high pitch, hit OK, and hit OK. Go to engine 2, add axis, standard axis, propeller pitch, engine 2, max pitch, or low pitch, excuse me, pull it back, max pitch, hit OK, hit OK. And you guys can already see it, and this is why I love it. You can already see it moving inside the sim. And this is why I love it. You can test it as you go. And then the same thing for the mixture. You guys can figure this out. Axis value change, add axis, standard axis, mixture, engine 1, full rich, set, full lean, set, hit OK, rinse and repeat for engine 2. Max, full rich, full lean, set, OK, and save. Boom. There's all of our control. So now we have our trim, throttle, pitch, mixture. Done. Now let's do the landing gear real quick. So for what we're going to do next is we're going to come over here to Autopilot and switches. And you can see for the Bravo, there are different commands here. So the Bravo is a single switch on the landing gear as it's programmed. So if we go to add event, you have gear up, gear down. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do, and I'm going to show you guys how to set the lights too. So we're going to do gear down, in this case, yep. So we're going to do gear down, add action, send simulation event. Remember I said Sim Connect will work 90% of the time for whatever you're doing. We're going to go gear, gear down. Hit OK, hit OK, hit OK. Done. Nothing too fancy. Select the same button, add event, gear up, add action, send simulation event. Remember, it's going to remember where you were. So just, you're already in the gear section, find gear up. OK, and save. And now, if we move our window over, watch that gear handle. There it goes. By the way, you should probably never do that in real life. Especially if you have power on, right? Watch that thing just roll up under you. Now, let's see here. I believe that we can do, while on, if I remember correctly, actually, no. You know what? I won't get into that because that gets a little bit, we won't worry about the lights. I'm sorry. I'm not going to show you guys the lights today. That's a bit longer in the process to understand what you're doing. All right, so now we're going to go over to the flaps. Now, the flaps is a little bit differently. You have flaps up and you have flaps down. They are two independent buttons in this case, but same exact process. Send simulation event. Now, the difference here that you want to watch for is a gotcha. We're going to type flaps. You have all your different settings, but you have flaps down and you have flaps up. Don't let that get you. Flaps up is going to be flaps up. Flaps down is going to be flaps down, full down. What we want is increase and decrease. So for flaps up, we're looking for flaps decrease. And coming here to flaps down, add event, button pressed, add action, send simulation event, and we're going to find flaps increase. Hit OK, OK, and again, watch the flaps. There you go. Okay, perfect. And again, this is such a nice way. This will be unanimous amongst any aircraft that you go to fly. Now, again, there are some caveats to that. Some aircraft require LVARs. Like, for example, I believe even the Duke 60, when it launched, setting the mixture was a little tricky. But again, there's going to be some caveats. But for 95% of the planes in the sim, this is a great start, at least. And again, I have a ton of SPAD tutorials on my channel that you guys can reference for further detail. Now let's talk about online snippets, okay? The other beautiful thing about SPAD and why I stick with it is because there are online databases of user-submitted profiles and SPAD-submitted and developer-submitted profiles for different hardware. Now, it is hardware-specific, okay? So it's hardware and aircraft-specific, technically. So, for example, if you are trying to looking for a binding for the Cessna 172 for the Thrustmaster Warthog, probably not going to find much. But something as popular as the Bravo Throttle Quadrant, there's going to be a ton. So check this out. Let's start with the Autopilot selector. So remember on the Bravo, for example, if I turn it, notice that now it's course, heading, vertical speed, altitude, right? So the easiest way to do that, you can either go on the hunt like we just did using the add sim connect, blah, blah, blah. Or in our case, we'll do this a bit faster. We're going to select this one. It's currently on IAS. We're just going to go to online snippets. It's going to bring up this window here. Sometimes it can take a little while. It's all based on how fast the connection is to the database, to the server. Okay, and now we're going to find right here, airspeed bug. Select OK. That one's done. Now we're going to move it up. It's on course. We're going to just go to online snippets, and we're just going to keep rinsing and repeating as we find these. I'm going to let you guys watch all of this. I'm going to record this entire part just because some of them are named a little weird. Or maybe named in a way that you, if you're not familiar, you may not recognize. Like VOR OBS, that is your course selector. VOR. Okay, so like that's one that usually will get people like, I can't find course. Well, it's not in there as course. And that's fair. Like it's one of those things that you really have to understand the connection there. So now that we're on the heading, there's the heading bug select. Hit OK, and that's it. It's just vertical speed now is what we're on. Online snippets. Not having to do anything else. And you can do this with a lot of different buttons, especially like the flaps, the landing gear. A lot of these are already in there. VSI, that's our vertical speed. And finally, altitude. And we're just going to walk through all of those for the autopilot. Altitude select. Let's move over to the modes. Oops. Online snippets. And we're just going to keep on going right across. And this is your baseline for all aircraft. So now when we go to duplicate this profile, autopilot heading, when we go to duplicate this profile, the autopilot will be set no matter what aircraft we're in. Again, some caveats may exist to that. There may be some aircraft that don't like these particular commands, but for most of your aircraft, this will be fine. Nav. I keep hitting the wrong button. Keep wanting to go into it. So I'm just as fast with it when I go to search for it. I've done this so many freaking times. Approach. And you can also back up your profile inside of the SPAD folder. It's just yours truly always forgets to do it. So when I do a full wipe of my machine, which I usually do about twice a year because I'm constantly testing so many different things, so many different applications are installed, uninstalled, removed, this one, that one. Reverse course. This really is just such a slick system here. No, we want autopilot altitude, but notice there's the barometer. If you wanted to use the barometer instead. I keep doing that. Vertical speed. Come on. There we go. And indicated airspeed or airspeed mode. Okay. There's all the modes. Now for the actual selector, same thing. I'm just going to go to online snippets. And this is where you would increase or decrease. So this one gets a little bit different. I'm looking for it though. Give me just a second. I believe this is the one that we want. So we'll use that one. Bravo Autopilot Encoder. And if it's wrong, we'll check it later, but I don't think it is. Yep, that's at the push. Yeah, okay, so yeah, this is real nice. So this allows you to control the different modes of the autopilot. For example, if you push it, because it has a push button too. Oh, no, it doesn't. What is this for? I'm sorry, hang on a second. Altitude lock. Oh, it's telling you to increase it. Okay, that's fine. Cool. And then autopilot. We need the master mode. So this is going to turn our autopilot on and off. And you have autopilot light and mode, but in our case, we're just going to do Bravo Autopilot, keep everything nice and simple. And save. And that is it. And the last thing that I want to show you guys real quick is just the parking brake and a taxi light just to show you guys lights. Or we'll do nav lights. I don't know. We'll pick one. So a quick light and a quick flight. All right, so this one on the parking brake, we want switch off. Parking brake's a little different. So we're going to go send simulation event still. And I'm going to look for park. And we'll look for parking brakes set. Okay. Now the condition we want to set, static value. Okay. You give it a number. Usually in most cases, 0 would be not existent. 1 is going to be yes to whatever you're wanting to do. So in our case, we want 0 for the parking brakes. We don't want any parking brakes. Now this can change based on the developer. It really depends on what you're mapping, but that's a good way to start. So with our parking brake, we're going to hit 0. And then we're going to come back to add event, switch on. Go back into there again. Same thing, parking brake set. If we did 0 before, we're going to do 1 now. And hit save. Let's check our profile. For the parking brake, it's already set. There it goes. Brakes off, brakes on, brakes off, brakes on. Got our flaps. Beautiful. Okay. So, and we can even check a couple other things. So, like, let's bring up our batteries real quick. God, why is it so bright? Really weird. Anyway, so we should be able to go into heading mode, for example. Am I on heading? I am. Although it's not aligned, so we probably have to wait. Probably not going to do anything. Maybe the course? So we'll give that a minute while it's doing that. The next thing I need to bind, for example, while that's going, we'll let the IRS align there, is I need to get my flight stick. So I'm going to find, in this case, my Orion. Here it is. And in our case, we just have X and Y for this particular tutorial. There's a bunch of other things I'll usually bind to it. But to bind your axis, again, just like we did before, add action, standard event. In our case, we want ailerons. And so here, we want centered. So we can set center. And then it wants full right. And so this, you have to be sort of ambidextrous here. Full right, set. Full left, set. Go back to center, hit OK. And hit OK. And then obviously on the y-axis, add action, standard axis, elevators, and same thing. Neutral, set, full up, set, full down, set, and hit OK. And while we're here, might as well do the rudder pedals. So here's my rudder pedals. which are apparently very close to me, and I wasn't thinking they were that close. All right, so there's my axis. We're going to go add event, axis value change, add action, standard axis, rudder. So first, neutral, set. Oh, I hit elevator. I just realized that. Cancel. I was like, full up. That shouldn't be there. Add action, standard axis, rudder. There we go. All right, centered. There we go. Set, full right, set, full left, set. Now, the cool thing about this is usually this is one I do have to invert, so I'll show you guys that. So, I've selected it. I go to test it. We'll come back to you in a second. Yep, they are reversed. So, this is me pushing on the right pedal and we're deflecting left. So, let's come back to SPAD. All I'm going to do is open it up. Select this line, open it up, just double click to open it. Hit on, hit OK, hit OK. Come back to SPAD. Boop, boop. Okay, and I think it's the same for the brakes too, but let's go ahead and check those. So we're going to set our brakes now. Boop. That's going to be the right toe brake. Add event, axis value change, add action, standard axis, right toe brake. And let's see here, max brake. No brake. Set. And if I hit OK. Oh, gotta hit OK again. Yeah, it's reversed. Oh, you know what? Let me get rid of that parking brake too. Nope, toe brake looks good. That is depressing. Okay, cool. Oh, that's depressing. So add action, standard axis, left toe brake. Max brake, no brake. Set, okay, okay, and save. Come back in here. Right brake, left brake. Rudder pedals are working as designed. Zoom on in over here. Let's see if we can find our heading bug. Why was that working when the mouse wheel is working as a selector? And we are in heading mode, and our heading bug is working. Beautiful. Let's go into altitude mode. Let's check that one. That one had me. Yep, there it is. Moving by hundreds of feet. And you can really zip that thing around. Perfect. Easy peasy. So we've got all of our basic controls now. Let's talk about how to duplicate this and designate it to an aircraft. All right, so once you have your base profile set the way you want, all you have to do now is go back up to your profiles, and we're going to create a new profile from this right here. New profile from this. And I'm going to name it. Now, I fly from my desk and my cockpit, so in this case, it's going to be the desk. And we're going to call this the desk 58 for the Baron 58. We're going to hit OK. And then to add or remove aircraft that will function with this profile, we're going to go to Aircraft Assignments. And you can see right here, the Beech Baron G58 Private Charter. That's what's currently being detected by SPAD. And we're just going to hit this arrow right here. Now, if you find that you have an aircraft that is assigned to a profile that you don't want it to be, you simply go back into your Aircraft Assignments on that profile, select the profile you want, go to Aircraft Assignments, and then you would hit the removal arrow. Remember, the other thing too about this is that Spad.next will assign a different profile if you choose per livery. Okay, so even though we're in the Baron G58, if I go in and I change the livery and come back in, it's going to prompt me, do you want to save this aircraft to this profile? I'm not quite sure why you'd want to change based on livery. I don't know, I really can't think of many reasons why you would want to do that, but that's why, is it gives you that kind of flexibility. So anytime it pops up, you just simply read at the top of it. It will tell you at the top, you know, detecting this aircraft, do you want to add it to this profile? You hit yes, and it just adds it. So very, very easy stuff, you guys. Very, very smooth, and it's a much better way to manage your controls. And then now, as you start building more aircrafts down your list, every single time you switch aircraft, you'll be able to, or SPAD will automatically know it. So again, I know 2024 does that, but I still don't like the fact that you have to escape, settings, controls, find the control device you want, then select the option you want, then go and find it. And then if you have to change it, you have to rinse and repeat the process. You have to go back through all the menus and find what you need. Okay, this automatically switches. It does it in both Microsoft 2020 and 2024. It's a much easier system to manage. It's much more effective. You have greater control options for things like LVARs and things like that that are not actually, and anything that is controlled by an LVAR is not usually available within the simulator controls GUI. So there are so many other options that it presents. Never mind the fact that start talking about custom hardware. For example, the WinWing and WingFlex A320 FCPs or Airbus FCPs. SPAD has different profiles on them where you can use them for different aircraft. It's a much, much better way to do it. Now, again, I'm not saying that you are stuck to SPAD. I am simply showcasing this to recommend things like SPAD. If you are absolutely hell no, I'm not trying SPAD, the guy's a jerk. And if you happen to watch this video, sir, adjust your customer service. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't care about that part. But Axis and O's, FSU IPC7, MobiFlight, those are all similar programs that will do the same thing. The user interface just in those isn't as clean, isn't as user-friendly, so you might find yourself banging your head around a little bit to understand how to use it. But just like with me and SPAD, there are plenty of creators who do tutorials on them as well. So anyways, I hope you guys found this video useful, and my 3D printing is done. So, as always, guys, stay safe and healthy. I'll see you in the next one.